Uncovering all the news from every dark corner of the universe. SliceofSciFi.com.
Hey, welcome everyone to another Slice of Sci-Fi. I am Michael Armenengay.
I'm Ben Raggington.
I'm Megan Zier.
I'm Michael Stackpole.
And I'm Sam Roberts.
Hey.
Ooh.
A voice from the past.
The elusive North American Mike Stackpole is in the studio.
Yeah, you know.
We're excited to have a sighting.
We tracked him down, every now and then. He saw his shadow 2 years ago and disappeared.
I couldn't fight extradition, so yeah, that was...
But Mike is actually here to talk about one of our favorite things we talk about here about this time of the year, and that is the Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival.
Yep, it's the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival. This is the 9th year that we've been doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And since its inception, I've been the science fiction programmer.
Mm-hmm.
And about 3 years ago, we got folded into the Phoenix Film Festival. So basically what happens is the Phoenix Film Festival runs for about a week and a half. But over the weekend, which is the weekend of the 5th, the first weekend in April, we basically take over after dark. And then we have one theater that we convinced them this year to dedicate a theater to us on Saturday. So people who are into horror, people who are into sci-fi will have programming all the day out through Saturday.
Exclusive.
So,
nice.
yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely.
And the fun thing about going to a film festival and is simply this, that one, they have parties.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So lots of them.
That's always good. But the other thing is that you get to actually talk to the filmmakers. So filmmakers will come in when you're seeing their films, and then they'll come up, and you get to ask them questions afterwards. You get to, and the thing which I enjoy the most as a science fiction programmer is not only do I get to choose the feature films that we show, but I get to put together 2 anthologies of short films. So one is a general science fiction anthology, and that's the A program this year. And then the B program this year is science fiction taking a look at what it is to be human and humanity. And so there are 10 different films by filmmakers literally from all over the world that are exploring aspects of that. And it's just so much fun. And so they'll be there for the screening, and then you'll be able to ask them questions. They end up interrogating each other. It is an absolute blast.
Wow. So now, are you actually screening all the movies still, or do you got a team helping you do that now?
Well, we've always had a team that would, they would score them on a scale of 1 to 5, and if it hit a 3, that would get to me, and that's generally the way we did it. And that was true for features this year. That was not true for short films.
No,
there were 80 some odd short films that I had to go through.
Wow.
Which is pretty much will melt your brain.
Yeah.
And
How did you keep it straight?
what ends up being the really tough part is just when you're putting the program together, each one of the short programs, you're looking at 80 to 90 minutes worth of film. So, when you're trying to jam 10 films in there, that's really, really tough because you have a lot of good films. You're trying to balance them. Sometimes like this year, the one program had the theme of looking at humanity. Well, there were some very good short films that just didn't fit into that program.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, and so you try. Usually because I've got a catch-all program, I can put a lot of really good ones in there, and then you try and shape the other one, and occasionally some just kind of fall
through.
Yeah, and so it's unfortunate, but boy, the programs. I was looking at the website today, and you can check on our website, horrorsci-fi.com. You can check the films and see how many people have added them to their schedule. And the shorts programs at this point have got more adds to the schedules than the features do.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
which I love because I just have so much fun putting together the short programs.
Now, is this still being done in just one theater? Did you say you expanded to?
Well, we're at the Harkins 101, which
right,
is and so the film festival itself has 5 theaters, and so on the weekend in the evenings we'll take over 2 or 3 of those theaters. So we'll be running horror programming and science fiction programming, and then we have some major release kind of movies that studios will get a pre-release and kind of a focus group, some movies that they'll send through. And then in the past, what's happened on Saturday is because you've got the whole big festival, you have the foreign films and all those things, and science fiction was still kind of getting pushed to the later hours. But this year, we managed to convince them to make sure that horror and sci-fi got at least one theater, so that if our people were going to be around, damn it, they could go.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
And then the other thing, for anybody who's in the area who's never been to a convention, on Sunday we have our Comic-Con preview. So vendors and people who are associated with Comic-Con, as well as some panels, are going to happen on Sunday. So you kind of get a feel for sort of like a convention emergency kit. If you haven't been to a convention in a long time, you can get your fix there. And
There
then
you go.
yeah. So.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the filmmakers you have lined up?
Actually, that's the funny thing is I picked the films.
Uh-huh.
I have no idea which
Dang
of the
it.
filmmakers we're getting coming
No.
in, other than I do know we're getting coming in from all over the place. But you're never sure who's going to be able to show up, because if they suddenly get a call from Steven Spielberg, who
They're
says,
gonna ditch you.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah. So you hope that you will have them there. But like I say, we got great lineups of films. The feature film that I'm really, really excited about is a film called Channeling. The idea behind it is that just as people sort of live blog their days on Twitter and everything like that, this takes the technology one step further, where people get contact lenses, so you get to see their life through their point of view. And so it's sort of like blogging meets reality TV. And it's really cool, because it talks a lot about the society and a lot of the impact of that sort of thing, as well as a rip-roaring story, well acted and well put together. And so that one is really, really cool. And then another one we've got a couple other feature films. One that's just a kind of a comedy, which of course the name is immediately escaping me. And another one which is a lot more philosophical and a lot more. Again, that's the cool thing about science fiction. You get these films that can go all over the place. So you get the social commentary, and you get the. I think the second one, the more philosophical one, is Found in Time, and it was a lot of fun, because it's not really a time travel story, but it's a story that keeps rewriting itself as characters sort of make changes and go back, and you get to see how things would have unfolded differently. But it's not, it's not the standard grandfather paradox kind of time travel thing. Of going back, killing your grandfather, who's a real idiot.
They get around it somehow.
They get around it, and again, it's got a lot of commentary about society and how these things evolve. And so a lot of these filmmakers are just really, really, really inventive and fresh, and they're doing stuff, because they're doing these as independents. They're doing stuff that, every studio has got a vice president in charge of saying no. And,
of course.
And the vice president in charge of saying no would have said no on all of these films. And then again, with a lot of the short films, you get some that are really heavy into special effects.
Really?
And so you get, just some really, really clever stuff, whether it's done with stop animation or, and there's I always try and find an animated film to put into the shorts program, and so we get a really cool one for that. And so it's just you try and capture everything, and science fiction really lets you do that.
So do you see? Did you see anything that really struck you this year that you're going to say, watch this guy, he's going to be the next
Big thing.
Big thing.
Or that's, again, in the shorts programs, you get to see a lot of these guys being really, really good technicians, especially when they're playing with sets and moods, because they only have to sustain it for a little while. If they can translate that to a much bigger film, holy mackerel. And so a lot of these guys do the short film sort of as a test to say to a studio, look, this is what I can do,
Well, and that's actually happened. Who was the guy? Neil Blomkamp, who did, right? He
District
did that.
9.
He did
District
District
9,
9.
District
right?
9,
It started as a short, right? Like that you can go out, and last I checked, it was available on the internet. And that, on the strength of that, got him the full length, which he was able to do that, right? That's got to be the challenge, is to go from your few minutes or however long to your full length.
It really is. And one of the weird things in selecting films, and one of the toughest things that I find is within the first 3 minutes or the first 10 minutes of a feature film, the first 3 minutes of any of the shorts, I pretty much know whether it's going to make it. Because whether or not it's got an interesting concept, whether or not it really is science fiction. A lot of them, they get submitted as science fiction, aren't.
Yeah.
But then whether or not it's got interesting characters or an interesting story.
Right.
Because all the, if the characters are stupid, or the story is horrible, all the special effects in the world
Can't
aren't,
save it.
Exactly.
You only get away with that if you're Michael Bay.
Pretty much. Well, you know, absolutely. That is true.
Well, Sam and I were actually talking about it just last night with Chronicle. You know, one of
Good
those,
example.
Good example.
Sure.
A Sundance Film Festival nominee, and it's gotten huge traction. Really great story. Really well pulled off on the special effects. Low budget. I mean,
Yeah.
this is
Right.
an incredibly low budget film, but it doesn't look like a low budget film
Right.
because the story's there, the storytelling, the special effects are really good. Even
You got
though
some great actors that have been in other
Yeah.
things, right? That have done a lot of good stuff. So good casting. And it was a springboard for him because now he's doing the next Fantastic Four movie.
exactly, it propelled him to the next step.
And that's really it. I mean, the story is what you're going to remember after you walk out of the theater.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, all the special effects and those things. Yeah, those are. Hey, wasn't that cool? And it lasts until you get in your car and start driving home.
And then
Yeah, but
hopefully you're thinking about the stories and the character, and that's what stays with you.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's why so many movies are utterly forgettable these days. Because there are no characters that stay with you.
Absolutely.
You know.
Have you ever like seen a short or a movie for this where you personally haven't liked it, but you felt it was good enough to include for whatever reason, like something that maybe you didn't like, wasn't your bag, or a particular thing set your button wrong? But
Oh, sure. I mean, there are. Matter of fact, in the shorts program dealing with humanity, there are a couple of films in there that are really kind of disturbing.
yeah,
You know, the stuff that they chose to explore is not stuff that I would be writing stories about. However, you know, within that theme and the way they executed, you know, I mean, these are little movies that'll absolutely haunt you.
Yeah.
And that I like, you know, and so that's, you know, that's very, very cool. I mean, yeah, there are going to be films, and we had an incident this year where a filmmaker wanted some feedback on his film as to basically why didn't you pick my film?
Oh.
And there were a lot of reasons, but it pretty much boiled down to the characters were not interesting, the story was not believable, you know, and it was also cut together really weird. But you know, just because the characters weren't there, you know, and so there was nothing to hold any interest. But yeah, I mean, you know, what I'm looking for is, and again, especially with the short programs, it's like being the editor of an anthology. You know, you're looking for stories that you know the readers are going to react to. And so if it can make me react negatively, you know, just because I feel uneasy or creepy about it,
that's something.
that's
Still a
great.
reaction.
Exactly. It's still a reaction. And so that's what you want. You want that emotional impact.
Yeah, and now, so are you still setting up the order of how things are being put, or is that another committee?
Oh, no, that's me. Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah.
And so what gets grouped and how they get grouped. So you actually have to lay it out for the audience as to, okay, I got a really creepy, nasty movie now. Now we need something a little more feel good, so that we don't want you slitting your wrists at
do
the
you
end.
do that? Do you vary theme, or do you try and pair things together? Like what's,
absolutely, it's like putting together a gourmet multi-course meal, which is like, okay, this film is really pretty to look at. It's very short, doesn't really have much going on, but I need it because if I put these two films back to back, people will be killing themselves.
palate cleanser, right?
Absolutely. You know, we need a little cool down here, and then you know, and then you want to finish on a movie that everybody's going to be going out saying, "Oh, that made me
I feel
feel
good about that."
Feel good,
Exactly.
happy movie.
Yep.
So sugary. I need to brush my teeth. kind of
Well,
thing,
not
yeah.
quite that. Yeah. Fortunately, I didn't have any of those, but yeah.
The zombie love story. It's always good to end
That's
on, you know.
that's on the horror side of things. Yeah. So.
Absolutely. So it does say that we do have some guests that are showing up there.
What do we have in the official pimpage?
In the official pimpage right
well,
there.
on the horror side of things, right, you have the Saw producer Peter Block.
Right.
And Friday Teller of Penn and Teller with his film Play Dead.
That is also true.
Awesome. And cult classic They Live. They're doing a special showing of They Live.
We always try and bring
They
find
Live.
an
Wow.
old
I'd love
classic
to see that
science
again.
fiction one
Yeah.
and bring that out. Just because it's, you know, you get to see it in the theater, you get to see it with the big screen and that smell of popcorn. I mean,
You get to see it with
that's a
people
real-
who love it like you
Well,
do,
exactly,
right? Like it's a whole.
exactly, yeah.
I get it. That's
It's a
awesome.
9-minute fight.
Yep.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's like I say, it's a lot of fun, and it's just a great way to spend a weekend, just totally geeking out on brand new science fiction stuff, you know, older science fiction stuff, and parties. You know, so there you go.
And it's always about the parties.
Well,
Absolutely.
it is always about the party. Absolutely.
And you said there's a website. How do we learn about this? And
The website is horrorsci-fi.com.
Oh, I see it right there.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Horrorsci-fi.com.
horrorsci-fi.com.
That's the one.
And that is April 5th.
It's the first weekend in April.
4th through the 11th.
4th through the 11th. Thank you. When I'm out of town, you did that on purpose.
As a matter of fact, we did.
You weren't even thinking of me. You weren't
true.
even thinking of me. You're like, Sam who? Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we need to know about this?
Just it is a lot of fun, and the more you support it, the more. Literally, this year I get to have 5 films, and that's just because science fiction has shown such good support over the years. And
so it's grown every year.
Oh, absolutely. In the past I've been limited to 4 films, and so now we got more features, and there were more features to select from, and I was allowed to choose 3 features, and I've got 2 shorts programs, and I'd love to get up to 6 or 7 selections. I could. Boy, having 4 shorts programs would have been so much fun.
Yeah.
Because it would have been so easy to
there was enough good stuff there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. So what that means, geeks, is you got to come out and support this, right?
Absolutely.
You've got cool stuff happening here in Phoenix for you local folks. We know we know you're here. Come out and support it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much, Mike, for being in the
My
studio
pleasure.
again. Hopefully you won't stay away for another 2 years. We'll see you.
Well, once the restraining order expires, then
The restraining order. It's it was just a bad day.
Legalities, poo. Don't worry about that stuff. All right, go out there and get it, folks. You want to see the Horror Sci-Fi Film Festival, and we'll be back with more Slice of Sci-Fi right in a day or so. There you go.